I'm not too sure whether processing EOTC is actually exciting or not, but I'll try and make it then. This is a custom development. Inda asked me to share this as possible options for other schools to consider. This is something that James had developed for us because we do have a requirement in our school to manage the trips effectively and to hold people accountable to what they need to do. So my role is ICT Director at Saint Kentigern. We have 4 schools in Auckland. They're all based on the eastern side of Auckland City. All right, we do have one instance of Schoolbox for all 4 schools. We adopted Schoolbox in 2013 after a couple-year project, right? And we have since reviewed it, right? And on another journey now for continuous improvement. So the EOTC redevelopment was part of that as well, and it went hand in hand with version 16, which is fantastic. So the reason why we did that was to actually streamline the way we process all trips going out of school, whether it is sports trips or whether it is excursion overseas or whether it is just a trip to the shopping center by a group of students. We wanted to make sure that we have a process in place that's electronic, that's efficient, that is paperless, and we've been able to achieve that since 2007. First developed in Microsoft SharePoint, and then redeveloped a year after we took on Schoolbox. We didn't have that embedded in the system, but that was always our goal to make sure that it is actually part of Schoolbox because we want a central place to manage information and services. It is end-to-end process, and it is actually used by 2 of our schools. The only reason why one of our other campuses is not using it because the new headmaster came in, he had adopted another system in place, but they're considering that at the moment as well. So we're hopeful that that will change. This is the floor chart I gave James to scare the hell out of him, and it did, and it still give him nightmares. I'm surprised that he still has hair left, but the process behind it is a lot more complicated than that. There's a lot more intel built behind that, and I'll show you just a very quick run through. I won't demonstrate it, but I'll show you what we were trying to achieve, and hopefully you will appreciate what it is that we were trying to do with this particular module. So the only thing that the teacher has to do or an administrator has to do is to click on the icon right in front of the dashboard to book a class trip. When they actually click on that button, it will require them to enter some crucial information, essential information to get permission to actually go on that class trip. This is not an approval, it is just to see to make sure that it is actually available in the calendar. There's a slot for them to be able to go on that particular trip. So essential information is entered at that point in time, and the key thing is this. As soon as that provisional application is put in, it appears on the calendar, on the Schoolbox calendar. And it is done in transparent text, so people see that it's a placeholder there. The whole idea behind this is to make sure that people are responsible for assessing whether they can go on a trip even before they apply. The idea is that they will look at the calendar, they will make sure that the application gets approved. So if they have a full view of everything that's happening around the school, they will then pick the right slot to take this particular group out. So this is just a way of streamlining the process, and as you can see in the recent development now, even in the calendar item, when you click on it, there are 2 numbers in brackets. We had asked for the number of students to be shown so that at any point in time, we can quickly have a look at a glance as to how many kids are involved in that trip, for staffing purposes and for cover as well. But the developers came back. Inda gave me a call, was music to my ears that particular day. He said, what about this? The developer think that you may want to also show the number of teachers going. Fantastic, because those 2 pieces of information right in front of us, will give us a good view of what's going on. And obviously, if you drill into it, you can see all the details that you require. And this particular product is integrated with Synergetic. We manage all our data, the class groups, every single group that we have in the school through the Synergetic database, and this interrogates the Synergetic database. The user or the staff can actually just select a group and you populate the number of students. They can then edit the group, drop the students out or add ad hoc students or form their own group. This particular system is very flexible, and at that point in time, we also require the RAMs management to be built into it. And this particular facility here, we wanted our staff to make sure that they are conversant with the RAMS requirement or the risk management requirement and take ownership of that. And one of the things that we did here was to make sure that it is by default ticked on, and they actually have to tick it off if there are no RAMS requirement. All right, so there are actually sort of human engineering built into this to make sure that no steps are missed along the way. Even the very last step, when the teacher complete all the other details to go with it, all right, after receiving provisional approval, all right, they will have go and add maybe a van booking to go with the trip, additional teachers and so on. They still have to press this particular button. And that is to acknowledge the fact that they have actually consciously looked through the details that's required, okay, and about to submit for the final time. This reduces the number of times for the final approval to go to and fro communication-wise, and this has worked quite well. So senior management is involved right at the end of the chain, okay, and they take their role in making sure that they actually check that the person who is actually checking the risk analysis management data, as well as the mix of the student-teacher ratio, they're all correct before they press the button. And obviously, once it is approved, it appears as a solid item in the calendar, showing that it is actually approved, ready to go, and anybody can actually drill into it, including parents, all right, to see what the details are associated with this particular trip. We use notification system that's built into it, all right. Teachers or people who are applying, all right, are notified. Teachers who are involved are notified along the way. Any cancellation, all right, they receive notification, all right, through the Schoolbox system, all right, and that works really, really well. So we do have the option of email notification as well as the built-in notification system, all right, and that works really well for what we need to achieve. And finally, all right, when the trip is approved, all right, even the attendance manager is actually sent a notification saying this particular trip is approved. Here is the data for you to actually upload into Synergetic, all right. And we manage our attendance system on a proactive manner, which means that any trips, all right, unknown trips and things like that are preloaded ahead of time, all right, and when the teacher turns up in class, when they look at the attendance sheet, and they do it through Schoolbox now as well, okay, they can actually see the reasons why the kids are away, all right, so we mark the student absent if they are not there for other reasons other than that's been approved. So it's an end-to-end solution for us, okay, right through to the app that we have with Digistorm that's integrated with our Schoolbox instance as well. Okay, so parents, teachers on the fly, okay, they can see what's going on if they need to attend a particular event, right, they got all the details populated in there as well. So basically that is the EOTC system that we have co-developed with Alaris. All right, they are a bit of an individual in terms of what they can offer us, in terms of how unique they are in the industry. All right, I do really respect what they're saying, that they want to consider their customers as individual as well, and this is one way in which they have shown, all right, that partnership with schools where they can actually satisfy our requirements, all right, and work in partnership with us to deliver what is probably a very important part of our operation at our schools. So we thank you for that. Basically, that's it. Again, that slide just prior, again, tells you how we measure the success of it, and I think we've done pretty well with the product that's been developed for us. And all the best for, I think we were the 16th school or something like that, all right, and great to hear last night that you're 115 schools now, all right. It's been a great journey with you, and we wish you the very best because your success will also make it our success as well, because your product is something not what we rely on, what we like, but it's integral in what we need to do on a day in, day out basis. Thank you very much.